Have you ever caught yourself whispering, maybe tomorrow, while today quietly slips through your fingers? You wake each morning with vague hopes that someday you'll get to the things that really matter, those dreams folded neatly in the back of your mind. And yet, in the hush of evening, you realize another day has passed, unchanged. The sun rose and set, the clock ticked softly on, and life carried on whether you moved forward or not. Perhaps you notice little signs of time's gentle escape, a new crease by your eyes, dust settling on an untouched journal, a memory that feels like yesterday but is now years old. Each of those moments you put off, each quiet "not today," has been adding up without fanfare. Maybe you tell yourself there's no rush, that you have plenty of time to start living as you intend to. It's comforting to believe that life will wait until you're ready, that opportunities will pause and circle back when you finally feel prepared. So you linger in the familiar rhythm of your days, handling obligations, tending to others, keeping busy, while your own deeper aspirations idle in the background. You keep waiting for the right mood, the right inspiration, the right moment. But outside your window, the seasons continue to turn. The world doesn't hold its breath. The cherry blossoms burst and fall. Summer fades to autumn. Stars streak across the sky, all unfolding whether or not you say yes to your life. And somewhere inside, a gentle unease forms. In the quiet hours of the night, when the distractions settle, you hear a soft voice asking, "How long will you wait?" It's subtle, but it's there. A tender ache in your chest when you think about the path not taken today, the call you didn't make, the risk you avoided. You push that feeling aside with promises of soon, eventually, wrapping yourself in the idea of tomorrow. But deep down, you sense the truth. Time is moving. Every day spent waiting is a day that won't return. Life isn't pausing, not even for a moment. It flows like a river, carrying each lost chance quietly out to sea. So pause and reflect. What are you really waiting for? A sign from the universe, absolute certainty, the guarantee that you won't fail or stumble. Those things may never come. Meanwhile, the minutes and hours are flowing right now like sand escaping an hourglass you cannot turn over. You keep waiting, but life doesn't. It's happening here and now, with or without your consent. And that realization can be tenderly heartbreaking, but also awakening. Because if life won't wait, the question becomes, will you continue to? Why do we cling to someday, that magical one day in the future, when everything will finally feel right, when we'll be ready to act, to change, to embrace the life we want? We imagine that someday a switch will flip, fear will vanish, motivation will soar, the timing will be perfect. But someday is a mirage, always shimmering on the horizon, always out of reach. How many times have you said, "I'll do it later," only to find that later never had a welcoming ceremony waiting for you? The truth is, later lives in a land that doesn't exist. All we ever have is now, yet we often live mentally in a fictitious soon. Let me share with you the story of Aria. Ever since she was young, Aria dreamed of painting vibrant landscapes, and maybe even hosting her own art show, but she kept postponing her first brushstroke. "Someday, when I have more free time," she told herself as she took on extra hours at work. "Someday when I'm more skilled," she sighed, scrolling through other people's artwork online, comparing herself. Years flowed by in gentle habit, and Aria's canvas remained blank. She waited for inspiration to strike like lightning, for circumstances to align perfectly. But someday stayed a day away, then a year away. By the time she finally sat before her easel with determination, she realized her hair had strands of grey, and those early visions she'd cherished had quietly faded. The perfect moment she'd been waiting for had slipped through her hands while she was busy waiting for it. We all have our own versions of Aria's story, don't we? Maybe you're waiting to feel good enough before starting that business you've envisioned. So you say, "Not yet," and bury yourself in more research. Maybe you long to reach out to someone you love, but hold back until the timing is better, as if there will ever be a time without uncertainty. We construct these careful conditions for our action. If not now, then when? When the kids are older, when work is less crazy, when you've saved more money, when you're more confident, when you've lost 10 pounds, when it's an endless list that pushes life further and further away. The illusion of readiness is comforting because it absolves us from acting today. It tells us our hesitation is prudent caution rather than subtle fear. But consider this gentle truth. You become ready by doing, not by waiting. The path unveils itself when you step onto it, not before. If you're waiting for a sign that it's time to truly live, to begin, to risk your heart on what matters, here it is. The fact that you yearn for more is the sign. The fact that you feel a pull in your chest when you imagine that project, that journey, that change, that is the universe inside you lighting a small flame. You don't need the stars to align perfectly to start, because life's not holding its breath for you. The perfect someday is a mirage. Your only reality is today, imperfect but available. So ask yourself, how long will you chase a horizon that keeps drifting farther away? What if the right time is simply when you choose to begin, even if you feel afraid or unprepared? Every great journey began with a trembling step forward in the now. Someday isn't a day of the week. It isn't marked on any calendar, but today is. You can circle it, claim it, and finally start walking toward the life that won't wait any longer. Even when we finally see through the mirage of someday, another challenge emerges from within, that quiet inner voice of resistance. It often speaks in the language of comfort and safety. It says, stay here where things are familiar. Why step into the unknown and risk discomfort? This voice is soft, reasonable, and persistent. It convinces you that starting that new exercise routine will hurt, so better to rest today. It nudges you to delay the hard conversation because it might be awkward, urging, maybe tomorrow you'll feel braver. This inner resistance isn't loud. It's a whisper that gently seduces you back into your comfort zone. And comfort can feel so cozy, like a warm blanket on a cold morning that you never want to leave. But if you listen closely, you might detect that the blanket is also weighing you down, keeping you from getting up to greet the day. Consider Daniel, who every night envisioned becoming healthier and stronger. He set a dawn alarm with genuine intentions to jog at sunrise. Yet each morning when the alarm chimed in the pale light, resistance would wrap around him. You're too tired, it would whisper. It's cold outside. Just stay in bed a little longer. And so the shoes stayed by the door, and Daniel slept on, choosing the immediate comfort of warmth over the discomfort of change. Days turned to weeks in this way. The first few times, Daniel felt only mild guilt, easy to shrug off. But eventually, each postponed morning left a bitter taste by noon, a mix of disappointment and frustration. He wasn't just delaying a run, he was betraying a promise to himself. The voice of resistance had kept him safe and snug. Yes, but also stagnant. Its comfort carried a cost, the aching knowledge that he was capable of more than this endless inertia. We all have our own Daniels inside. Perhaps your resistance appears as procrastination, a habit of busying yourself with trivial tasks to avoid the one task that scares you. Or it appears as an anxiety that makes you reach for distraction whenever you sit down to work on that deeply meaningful project. Suddenly, every notification on your phone seems urgent when you face the blank page or canvas. This inner resistance isn't here to hurt you. In fact, it believes it's protecting you from failure, from pain, from uncertainty. It's the part of you that craves the familiar, even if the familiar is unfulfilling, because at least it's known. Stepping into the new means stepping into risk, and risk is uncomfortable. Yet here is a compassionate reminder. Discomfort is the price of growth. A butterfly emerging from a cocoon struggles and strains. Without that effort, it never strengthens its wings to fly. Seeds break open in dark soil before they blossom in sunlight. Likewise, each time you choose discipline over delay, each time you act despite the discomfort or fear, you push gently against the walls of that comfort cage. At first, it feels unbearable. Your heart races when you speak up in that meeting instead of staying silent. Your muscles burn when you finally hit the pavement to run. Your mind protests when you sit to meditate rather than scroll. But slowly, what was hard becomes easier. What was uncomfortable becomes empowering. That whisper of resistance grows quieter each time you lovingly prove it wrong. Ask yourself, what has staying comfortable really given you? Moments of ease, yes, but also the persistent ache of knowing you're not living fully. Your discipline, the decision to do what matters even when it's hard, is an act of self-love. It is you saying, I deserve to try, I deserve to grow, I deserve to experience all that life has to offer, not just the parts that come easy. Fear of discomfort will always be there, whispering its cautious advice. You can hear it, acknowledge it, and gently decide to move forward anyway. Each small step outside your comfort zone is you honoring your life over your fear. It's you telling that inner resistance, I know you're trying to keep me safe, but it's time for me to truly live. Picture yourself many years from now, looking back on today. What do you think you might yearn to tell your younger self, the one who is reading these words right now? It likely wouldn't be praise for how well you played it safe, or how long you waited to give yourself permission to live. More likely, you'd whisper, "I wish you hadn't waited so long. I wish you had started sooner." There is a quiet sorrow in opportunities forever lost, in later becoming never. The love that you hesitated to express, now that person is gone, or the moment has passed, and the words you kept to yourself echo in an empty space. The project you never started, someone else brought a similar dream to life, and you're left wondering what brilliance might have been if you had tried. The adventure you put off until retirement. Now your knees hurt, and your spirit is more tired than it ever was when you were young and full of possibility. Let me tell you about an old man named Victor. Victor spent his life providing for his family, always saying he'd pursue his own passions later. He had a notebook where he scribbled ideas for a novel, a story he felt destined to write. But the years went by in hard work and self-sacrifice, and that notebook gathered dust in a drawer. When he retired, Victor finally opened it with trembling hands and a hopeful heart. But to his surprise, the energy and clarity he once had were harder to summon. The characters that had lived so vividly in his mind now felt distant. The pages remained mostly blank. One afternoon, his grandson asked him about the notebook, and Victor realized with a sting that the story he always meant to write would remain untold. His eyes welled up, not just from sadness, but from a deep understanding. Time had quietly closed a door he thought would always remain open. Later had become never, and the weight of that realization was heavier than any effort writing ever would have been. Regret is a heavy shadow to carry, and the cruel thing about regret is that it only fully reveals itself when it's too late to change the outcome. In our younger days, the consequences of waiting are easy to miss. After all, if you miss one chance, surely another will come, right? But life is astonishingly fragile and unpredictable. The window to mend a broken relationship, to follow a dream, to simply experience the world's wonders, isn't open forever. Circumstances change, people drift away, our bodies and priorities evolve. One day, that next time you were so sure would come, doesn't. All that remains is the echo of what could have been. Yet, this isn't a message of doom, it's a gentle wake-up call. Look at the life before you now, the people you love, the dreams that still flicker in your heart. None of these are guaranteed to be here tomorrow in the same way they are today. That truth could be terrifying, but it can also be profoundly motivating, because as long as you are still breathing, it isn't never yet. You have now. You have this chance, this day, to choose differently, to say what you need to say, to start what you yearn to start. The cost of waiting is paid in moments that you can't get back, but in this very moment, you have a priceless opportunity to ensure that later doesn't become never for the things that matter most. So ask yourself, with both kindness and honesty, what is worth doing right now before it slips out of reach? If you were at the end of your life looking back, which chances would you regret not taking? The door to tomorrow isn't promised to anyone, but today, here, now, it's open, beckoning, rich with possibility. Step through before it closes, and let the future you thank you for the courage you showed today. All the reflections so far lead to this simple, powerful truth. Your life is happening right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in this very heartbeat, this inhale, this exhale. It's easy to forget. Our minds race ahead to plans and worries, or linger on old memories and what-ifs. But in doing so, we overlook the only place we ever truly exist, this present moment. This is where you can finally stop waiting and start living, not in a loud, drastic declaration, unless you want to, but in the quiet resolve within your own heart that enough is enough. You're ready to embrace the time that's been given to you. This moment is yours, not because someone granted it, but because you choose to claim it. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast field at dawn. The sky is just beginning to light up with possibility. For a long time, you've been camped at the border, waiting for instructions, for certainty, for a feeling of readiness that never quite came. But now, as the light grows, you feel something new rising inside. Courage. It's not a roar. It's a steady whisper saying, step forward. The day is here. Your day is here. You realize no one else can walk this path for you, and no one else is holding you back anymore except the shadows of doubt you're finally ready to leave behind. So you take that first step into the field of your life, The dewy grass yielding under your feet, the air cool and filled with promise. There's no fanfare, no guarantee of what you'll find, but there is freedom in finally moving. There is power in finally choosing yourself over your fears. Let this be your moment of turning. Let this be the morning you decide that waiting is no longer an option, that you won't abandon yourself to the sidelines of your own existence. You don't have to overhaul your life in a day. You only have to begin. Make the call, write the first paragraph, sign up for the class, speak the truth that's been burning inside you. Do it with your heart pounding and hands shaking if you must. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's doing it anyway. Gently reminding yourself that growth and fear often dance together. Every brave choice you make in the now is a vote for the person you want to become. Each time you act, you reinforce the belief that your life is worth living fully, not in half measures or maybes. And as you do, something beautiful happens. The internal call to action turns into an inner peace. The anxious ticking of the clock is replaced by a calmer rhythm. Because you're finally in sync with time, not fighting against it. You're inhabiting your life instead of deferring it. Even setbacks or failures along the way feel different. They're no longer signs that you should retreat, but proof that you're out there in the arena, living, learning, growing. You'll find that people around you may even see the change, a newfound lightness in your step, a clarity in your eyes. By choosing to live your life now, you quietly give others permission to do the same, becoming an unspoken inspiration. Presence and purpose are contagious. So, here and now, take a deep breath and feel the reality of this moment. This is it. There's no need to wait for a new year, a new week, or a new life stage to arrive. Your life is here, unfolding in real time. Give yourself permission to step into it completely. No more half-living, no more, maybe later. Later is a lie. Now is the truth. Embrace the uncertainty, the imperfection, the excitement and the fear. They are signs that you are truly alive and engaged. Let this be the moment you stop watching time go by and instead start walking beside it, hand in hand. Let this be the moment you look at the life you have, the only life you have, and say, yes, yes to opportunities, yes to effort, yes to love, yes to yourself. In this surrender to now, in this quiet, determined courage to live, you will find that life opens up to you in ways it never did while you were waiting. No, life won't wait for you. But the beautiful secret is, it doesn't need to, because you're here now, awake to your own existence, ready to meet life as it is. And in doing so, you discover that this moment, and every moment to come, was always yours to claim.